In this unit, we discuss research with Indigenous communities. Indigenous communities in Canada include First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people, and are incredibly diverse. Consider that there are over 600 First Nation communities representing more than 50 nations and languages. Each relationship is unique. As university-based researchers and students, we have a responsibility to learn the details about the communities we are working with, the history of any treaties signed on the territory, the impacts of colonialism on the local people, and the actions being taken towards reconciliation. Historically, many people in Indigenous communities have had problematic relationships with researchers. Research has often been conducted on Indigenous communities, rather than with, by, or for them. As we've learned, projects that aren't driven by community needs and priorities aren't likely to be of benefit or relevance to communities. These practices are changing for the better. Principles to guide education and research with Indigenous communities, and indeed any community, include respect, relationship, relevance, reciprocity, and responsibility. Respect involves valuing and honoring the cultural knowledges and practices embedded in the experiences of Indigenous communities. It means that the comfort level of all partners in a community-based research project is considered, from when and where to hold meetings, to the questions and demands asked of participants, to how much time and resources partners are expected to devote to a project. In terms of relationships, it's crucial that partners take time to really get to know each other. It's also important to know that strong relationships are long-term and durable. Understanding each other's goals, intentions, and personal experiences helps build trust. Ideal relationships share power over the research process and value everyone's contributions. Partners should feel welcome to share their ideas and frustrations, engage in ongoing communication, and entertain new ways of doing things. Relevance involves prioritizing community priorities and ensuring that results can be used to make positive changes within the community. Reciprocity asks that every partner benefit from a partnership. While each partner may not experience the same benefits, benefits should be desirable for everyone. For example, non-Indigenous faculty and students may increase their understanding and experience with Indigenous ways of knowing. Community partners may increase their skills and access resources to conduct future research within their own communities. And together, partners create new knowledge, learn from one another, and share in decision-making. Being responsible for our actions is central to partnerships. Maintaining trust requires us to be responsible to each other in our words and our actions. Checking in with partners to ensure they are satisfied with the project is key. Ethical frameworks in First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities include the protection of rights of communities or groups, in addition to individuals. Because of the diversity of communities and nations, there is no single framework for research with Indigenous people. The Canadian Tri-Council funding agencies provide guidelines for research practices with Indigenous communities. However, these guidelines should support, rather than override, the principles and expectations that each individual community has for themselves. Each community is different, so it's important to learn about and work with their protocols and expectations. The involvement of Indigenous people as partners in research projects, as members on ethics review committees, and as experts in research advisory boards helps to ensure that funded research reflects community priorities and benefits their community. The First Nations Information Governance Centre is home to the principles of OCAP. These are the gold standard for how to conduct research with First Nations. OCAP stands for Ownership, Control, Access, and Possession. OCAP standards outline how First Nations research data should be collected, kept safe, shared, and used. Ownership means that, as a group or community, First Nations own their cultural knowledge, data, and information, just like an individual owns his or her personal information. Control means that First Nations communities have control over every stage of the research project, including project priorities, the review process, planning and development, data collection and management, and knowledge sharing. Access means that First Nations are able to get the information and data about themselves and their communities, no matter where it is held. First Nations communities have the right to make decisions about access to their collective information. Possession means that First Nations have physical control of data and findings. Elders hold special wisdom and leadership in their community. Elders may play a key role in shaping a research project and can act as a connector between Indigenous communities and outsiders. They may provide guidance and support to participants as well as help outside researchers navigate and respect protocols and practices within the community. They may help community and campus partners work through decisions or issues. In Indigenous communities, an honorarium for an elder and a gift of a sacred plant, such as tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, or cedar, can recognize the wisdom an elder has to share. But it's important to ask about customs and expectations, as remember, every community is different. Research methodology is a way of being, not just a way of doing. A community-based approach ensures that research practices are respectful and appropriate to a community. Before starting a project, community and campus partners should negotiate values, roles, research questions, and methods for collecting data. For example, hiring research assistants who are knowledgeable about the community can be essential. Partners should also talk about how the results will be shared and used. For example, having partners provide feedback on drafts of questions and reports helps to make sure that project partners agree on what and how information will be shared to people outside a project. Community-based research with Indigenous communities, and indeed all communities, should reflect community priorities, reinforce Indigenous values, benefit the communities, and promote well-being and resilience.